From the moment Farah woke up, things had gone badly. When she tried to brush her teeth, she found there was no toothpaste left in the tube. When she carried her bowl full of milk and cereal over to the table, she spilled it all over the floor. When she was walking out the kitchen door, she caught her coat on the door handle and ripped it. It wasn't a big rip, but by this time, as you can well imagine, Farah was really getting annoyed at herself for being so clumsy. She sat down in a chair and decided that she would stop everything and start again. Now, this was a good idea. She took some big breaths and then sighed to let out all the frustration she was feeling. And in a moment, she felt better. And she stood up, ready to start her day again. And that was a good idea, except as she walked, she moved toward the pole. She didn't see it out of the corner of her eye, and she bumped her head right on it. Farah rubbed her head. She was so upset. No matter what she did on this day, it wasn't working out. At that moment, Smudge came up to Farah with his huge bag of marbles. He asked if she wanted to play. Farah was still rubbing her head, and she looked at the marbles and then at her friend. Marbles would be fun, she said. Smudge was delighted because Farah was great to play marbles with. He handed her the bag of marbles and raced off to get some cardboard tubes to shoot them through. Unfortunately, Farah didn't quite get hold of the bag, and in a split second, 50 marbles tumbled to the floor and went every which way. Smudge was shocked at the sound of tumbling marbles. Both of them looked at the marbles and then at each other. It was at this very moment that Smudge said something to Farah. He told her she was a big goof for dropping them. Farah looked at Smudge and tears came to her eyes. She hadn't meant to drop them. She didn't even know how she had done it. The two pups got down on their hands and knees and picked them up. They did it together. But I could tell that Farah was very hurt. Once the 50 marbles were back in the marble bag, Farah didn't want to play anymore, and she hurried upstairs. Through the window, I asked Smudge why he thought Big Goof was a good thing to call a friend. Smudge was surprised at my question and smiled. He said it was a good name because Farah had been doing really goofy things all day. He didn't mean that Farah was a big goof all the time, but today she was. He was just teasing her. I smiled back at Smudge because I knew he hadn't meant to be mean, and I told him when someone was having a bad day, that's a good time for a friend to get in and help. Calling Farah names, even if he didn't mean it, only made her feel bad. Sometimes that hurts a friendship rather than builds it up. Smudge gasped. Farah was one of his best friends in the whole world. In 1,000,007 years, he would never want to end their friendship. Smudge excused himself and told me he had to find Farah fast before it was too late. When Smudge found Farah, he knew she had been crying. He apologized. Farah smiled at him and she sniffed her thank you. Then she told him she really was a big goof because she had done so many goofy things in her day and it was still morning. And Smudge leaned over to Farah and put his arm around her. He told her that he was the big goof for ever saying a mean thing like that to such a good friend. Now it was going to be his job to make sure her day got better. Farah smiled. Maybe with Smudge's help, she could make it through the rest of the day. Outside, Dilly and Tanker asked where the other two pups were. I told them what had happened, and in a flash, they were up the stairs asking Farah how she was. Farah felt so much better. Everybody was happy to see that. They were all glad to be best friends and to help Farah get through her bad day. I have to say that I was happy too. And so I invited them down for a treat. The four pups looked at each other and they sprang for the pole at the very same time. They all expected to shoot down the pole and onto the floor, but instead, they all came to a grinding halt. They were wedged in. The pole was made for one pup at a time, and four was just too many. They couldn't go up, and they couldn't go down. I have to say I was stumped for a minute, but then I remembered that we at the fire station had a whole lot of friends. I put out a call, and soon they came running, and I have to tell you, there was a great deal of excitement. Bilko set up the stepladder and held up the pups while others held the rescue net in case anybody fell through, but nobody did. Philippe and Boswald pulled them out. When the pups were all out, they all felt a little embarrassed at having done such a silly thing. Bilko told them that everybody has days like that, and Farah was the first to agree. We thanked our friends by sharing cookies and juice with them. By the end of the morning, we discovered that everybody remembered having a bad day or two and was happy to laugh about it. And I hope if one of your friends has a bad day, you'll be the kind of friend that says, "Let me help make it better." And then you do. I know your friend will appreciate it.